These are the AirPod Max first generation. They were originally released on December 15th, 2020 for a price tag of $550. In today's video, I want to take a closer look at these again now that they've been out for a year and talk about some changes that they might need in a second generation. Now, there are 4 topics that I want to cover in this video while we talk about these headphones. The first thing is just what is working well and what I like about these headphones. The second thing will be what I don't like and what isn't really working well. Third, we'll cover what I'd like to see in a second generation of the AirPods Max. And then fourth, we're going to talk about if they're still worth that $550 price tag and some other options you might have on the market. Before we get started, if you are new here, welcome to the channel. My name is Michael. A large portion of my viewers are actually not subscribed, so if you are new here, be sure to consider subscribing. We're putting out new tech videos all the time. Now, one of the first things people like to talk about with this headset, and understandably so, is the price point. That $550 price tag is not necessarily cheap. And although they do retail for about $550, they are often on sale. I've seen them on sale quite a bit actually, especially recently. I was able to get mine for $480, so if you are in the market for these and you're thinking about potentially purchasing a pair, I would hold off until potentially a sale comes up because there's always retailers doing sales on these specific headphones. If you are interested in purchasing them, I'll leave an affiliate link down in the description below. Hopefully they're still on sale if you're interested in purchasing them. Would appreciate if you guys use that link too. Really helps me grow my channel and continue to make videos. Now, when you do go to purchase these headphones, one thing you have to decide is the actual color option that you want to choose. Something that is a little strange here that I want to talk about is that Apple has actually not changed up the color lineup for these headphones since they released over a year ago. At least at the time I'm filming this video. I'm sure right when I put this out, maybe they'll release a new color model, but unlike Apple, usually 6 to 12 months through a product's life cycle, they release some sort of new color, whether that's a product red version or they've done a purple version with the iPhone before. The AirPods Max have not gotten a new color since it was originally announced. They are still just available in those 5 colors that they originally launched with, and that is space gray, silver, pink, green, and sky blue. So there's no product red here. If you ask me, it's a little bit disappointing actually. I would love to see like a matte red, maybe with some black ear muffs on these headphones themselves. So Apple, if you're watching this, I doubt you are, but if you are, I'd love to see like a matte red AirPods Max. That would be a pretty cool color, I think. Enough kind of talking about the intro though. Let's actually dive into some of the topics that I wanted to discuss. And let's talk about first what I like about the AirPods Max and kind of what's working well. So this is the portion of the video where I try to look at Apple and figure out, okay, why is this thing worth $550? What do I like? What's working well? Sell me on the product, basically. And one of the first things that comes to my mind when I think about what I like about this headset that a lot of other headsets don't offer is that H1 chip that is in the actual headset itself. So if you don't know what this is, it's essentially just a computer chip inside the actual AirPods Max, and they allow you to easily connect between any Apple device pretty much at any time. And even if you switch from your iPhone to your iPad, your headset will automatically switch from being connected to your iPhone to being connected to your iPad. You do also get the ability to connect to other Bluetooth devices though. So you can connect to like the Nintendo Switch, which I just did a video on. If you want to check out the new OLED Switch, you could connect these headsets to that Switch if you want. You could even connect it to an Android phone. You could connect it to a Windows PC. I actually primarily use this headset on my Windows PC when I am at my day job. I actually use them for conference calls, and it's quite nice actually being able to connect to a Windows PC, even though it's an Apple product, because a lot of times that doesn't happen when you're Apple and you're making products. A lot of times they don't allow that. So it's nice to see that feature here. The design and the build quality overall are absolutely fantastic too, and they should be for this price range. It's pretty much all metal. The ear cups themselves are aluminum on the sides. As far as the actual design, when I first kind of saw these announced, I wasn't completely in love with the design. The more I've used them though, the more I've looked at them, I guess you could say, I have grown to kind of like the design. I do think the actual ear cups though still look a little bit too big or a little weird. They're almost like a squared off rectangle, I guess you could say. I wish they were like, I don't know, just slightly not so big, I guess you could say. But the design has grown on me. I actually like the design quite a bit. And the build quality is really nice overall. Just a nice sturdy all metal build quality. Most headsets actually have plastic, so it's really nice that this has completely metal around it. It even has a stainless steel headband going across of it, which is quite nice. And the headband itself is a little bit harder to adjust. You really kind of have to pull on it in order to adjust it to whatever size you want it on your head. That's actually kind of a nice feature because I've had headsets in the past, especially if they're made out of plastic, kind of start to adjust on their own. And this one, it doesn't really move when it's on your head. It's nice and sturdy and you have to really pull it in order to adjust the headset itself. Battery life is also excellent on this headset itself too. So as I mentioned earlier, I use this at my day job when I'm in conference calls. So I work remote, so I'm pretty much on meetings sometimes all day long. This thing has an estimated 20 hours of battery life in it, and I've never really had issues getting through the day with it. And sometimes I can even get through the entire week without needing to charge it. The other really nice feature is the ability to actually change out the earmuffs on the headset itself. So these are actually just connected by magnets here. So you can actually go on Apple's website and they'll charge you about $70 to purchase new ones or different colors. But you can go and change out the earmuffs for a different color option if you want to change up the overall look of your headset. The other nice thing too here is that if you have these headsets for, let's say, 2 or 3 years and the earmuffs kind of start to wear down, maybe you damage them somehow, it's much cheaper to go out and buy $70 earmuffs than it is to go buy a new $550 headset. Now we've talked about mostly pro stuff, let's talk about some cons with this headset. So some stuff that I don't really like and some stuff that's not necessarily working very well. The first thing, and stop me if you saw this coming, but it's the actual price point itself. I still don't completely understand the $550 price point. Even after using this headset and really liking it, it's still just, it's a little bit too much money. I do think when you start talking about the price of the AirPods Max though, you have to look at the overall lineup of earphone products that Apple offers. And when you start to look at it, the $550 price tag almost makes even less sense. So they currently sell the second generation AirPods for $130, which is still kind of expensive, but much better than $550. You can also get the AirPods third generation, which are a little bit of an improvement, for $180 on Apple's website. Or you can step up to the AirPods Pro, which have a bunch of different features in them, have a wireless charging case, and those are $250. But you'll notice there's nothing else in between that. It goes from $250 for the AirPod Pros all the way up to $550 for these AirPod Max. The other thing to note here is that these are AirPods Max, not AirPods Pro Max or AirPods Studio or anything like that. So these are technically not even a pro product, whatever that means in Apple's terms, I guess you could say, yet they're still the very overpriced, just in my opinion. The next thing, and this is probably not going to be surprised if you've seen any other videos on this product, but it's this stupid carrying case. This thing has got to go. So this is like a carrying slash charging case. It puts the AirPods Max in a very low power state, which allows them to preserve battery life. There's also, it's not really a charging case per se, but there is like cutouts on it in order to easily charge the AirPods while they are in this terrible thing. But it's just a terrible product. It doesn't really protect the headset at all. It might protect it from a little bit of scratches, or if you did happen to drop it, I guess it's safer in that than it would be not. But it's something that isn't that great. They need to change up the carrying or charging case in a second generation for sure. Now, although we talked about how great the build quality was a little bit ago, they can get a little bit heavy after a while. So in addition to kind of my ears getting hot, if you wear these for a very long time, I'm talking like a very long time, like 8, 9, 10 plus hours if you're on a plane or if you're at work using these for conference calls, they can start to feel kind of heavy after a while because they are completely metal. Since most other headsets are plastic is a lot lighter. A lot of times that can be more comfortable if you're using them for an extended period of time. With all metal, it's going to start to feel just a little bit heavier after extended use. The other thing I want to mention too is just the overall shape that these kind of immediately bend to. So you can see here, it kind of bends to almost like a triangle. My head is not a triangle. It's more like this. I wish for some reason, instead of being in this, in the resting state, I guess you could say, it was more like this. I think it would be a lot more comfortable. It almost feels slightly tight, I guess you could say, because it naturally bends to almost be like a triangle. And then we sort of mentioned this earlier, but just a reminder, there's no water or sweat resistance here. So that is definitely a con, something I would like to see changed. So those are some of the cons that I don't really like with this headset. We've already talked about some of the pros. Let's talk about more of the things I'd like to see on a second generation AirPods Max, because you know Apple will release one eventually. So in addition to some of the things we've already talked about, like more color choices, a better price, sweat and water resistant, there's a few other things that I would like to see Apple change in a second generation AirPods Max. The first thing is actually just better audio in general. So these things don't have bad audio, and they shouldn't for $550. But I feel like they should be better for $550. I have the AirPods Pro, those $250 ones, and I use those usually like when I'm jogging outside or something, or working out in general, because those ones do offer sweat and water resistance. I oftentimes can't completely tell the difference in terms of audio. The AirPods Max definitely have a better bass compared to those in-ear style, but they don't really get that much louder. The bass isn't significantly better. It's definitely noticeable. Just in a second generation, I'd like to see better audio, especially if they're going to keep this $550 price tag. I would like to see them adjust that price tag though. This is the second thing I'd like to see. And that is, I think if they even got to the $500 range or maybe $450, this would be a lot easier to kind of swallow or to justify if you are on the market for a potentially new headset. Would also align slightly more with their competitors, slightly, which we'll talk about later on in this video. The microphone could also definitely be improved here. Now, I don't know if this is just because I'm using it on a Windows PC versus using it on an Apple product, but I've heard myself talk through this headset, I guess you could say, like on a recording, and the microphone is not that great, especially if you're using it on a Windows PC. Now, on the other hand, I've also used this when I'm connected to my iPhone and actually talking to someone on the phone, and they said that the microphone sounds fine. So there could just be a compatibility issue there where maybe if you have this connected to a Windows or Android device, the microphone doesn't sound as good versus if you have it connected to an actual Apple device. I don't really care what the reason is. Either way, I would like to see just a better microphone in a second generation AirPods Max. We touched on this. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here, but we need a better charging or carrying case. This thing sucks. So definitely improve this in a second generation version. So that's pretty much everything I'd like to see in a second generation AirPods Max or AirPod Pro, whatever they want to call it. I don't care what they call it. The next version of the AirPods Max, that's what I would like to see changed. Now that kind of brings me to my fourth and final topic that I wanted to discuss, and that is this thing still worth it, especially for $550? Or even if you can find it on sale for around $480. This is another one of those times where the answer is yes and no. I say if you're in the Apple ecosystem and you are looking for an over-the-ear style headphone, this is a really, really great option, arguably one of the best options. Being able to quickly switch between Apple devices is a huge feature, that H1 chip. So if you're using your iPhone and then you switch to your iPad, the headset will automatically change. It can even connect to the Apple TV, which is nice. So if you're in the Apple ecosystem, you have a lot of Apple products, it is nice to have this headset. If you aren't in the Apple ecosystem, I don't think these are for you. There's a lot of other alternatives that have similar features, sometimes even slightly better features, and a lot of times they're actually a lot cheaper. So if you're not really an Apple user, maybe you only have one or two Apple products, I would say maybe think about some other alternatives, because the AirPods Max might not necessarily be the best product for you if you're looking for an over-the-ear style headset. I found some alternatives on tomsguide.com, a forum kind of website here that listed it out. And there's these Sonys that are about $250, so that's less than half the price of the AirPods Max that have very similar features. You might want to check those out. There's also the Bose 700 headset, and that comes in at about $380. So again, Apple, you're not watching this, but if you are, if you could get that price point down, you'd be much more in line with some of your competitors. The Bose 700 is a very nice headset, very, very similar compared to the AirPods Max, but $380, that's significantly cheaper than the AirPods Max. There's also the Microsoft Surface Headphone 2, I believe is the full name of it, and I think those come in at around $230 or $250, so again, significantly cheaper and similar performance. I'll leave a link to that guide down in the description below, as well as Amazon affiliate links to purchase any of those headsets if you're interested in it, in the description below. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think about the AirPod Max. Is this a headset that you like or you would like to own? If you already own a pair of these headsets, do you regret buying it, or do you really like using them? And then I'm really curious what you guys would like to see in a second generation AirPods Max. So let me know in the comments down below. Would love to read those. I'm always replying to different comments down there, so let me know your thoughts. Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you have a great rest of your day.